You can change the world. Learn from proven change makers from all walks of life. They'll show you how to raise money, invest for impact, and so much more. You can start small. Start today and never quit. You can change the world by strengthening your superpowers. Now, welcome to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and we are so fortunate today to have with us Russell Fugett. He's the CEO and founder of Equity Endowment. He has been on a crusade since college to really build community and to address social injustice in the world. And he's just an extraordinary human being. So you do not want to miss this episode. Russell, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you.
Thanks for having me, Devin. Really appreciate the warm introduction.
Well, we're so excited. Tell us about Equity Endowment. Give us the quick overview.
Sure. Well, I founded Equity Endowment in 2023 through a fiscal sponsorship. At this time, we're a 501c3 public charity with the mission of closing the racial wealth gap. Now, of course, there are a lot of things that go into closing the wealth gap, and government and other organizations and public policy certainly play a part, but we need more tools in our toolkit. So the idea for Equity Endowment was to create a first of its kind, as far as we've been able to tell, strategy existing at the intersection of finance and philanthropy. And it's a two-pronged strategy. So similar to how colleges and universities have endowments that will pay for faculty salaries and buildings, et cetera. We want to create an endowment and invest the fund, create an endowment fund, an investment fund, invest with minority fund managers, and also funds are investing in minority economies throughout the country. And in that way, we'll be injecting millions of dollars into the economy of Black and brown people throughout the country. And then, of course, take the proceeds of that endowment and then grant it to nonprofit organizations doing the programmatic work with a specific emphasis on entrepreneurial development and small business enablement. So in that way, we'll be supporting a nonprofit new business creation on both sides of the spectrum, both through the diversified financial portfolio and also through the nonprofit organizations that we'll be supporting.
That is a brilliant two-pronged strategy that has impact on both prongs, right? The investment through the fund managers, diverse fund managers who are supporting diverse founders across the country. Big deal, big deal. You know,
the 100% mission aligned portfolio.
Yeah. It's crazy in a way how many people have struggled to make that leap. I think, the Gates Foundation has finally shifted, but for many years, Bill Gates defended a portfolio that was pretty toxic at the Gates Foundation because he wanted to maximize return so that he could maximize impact on the donation side. And finally, I think he's kind of seen the light and focuses now on a cleaner portfolio. But it is not the universe, right? It's not the pattern that everyone is in. So I commend you for that. That's exciting. Now, this is a photo of
myself and Mr. Mark Morial, who's the president of the National Urban League, and had the chance to meet him at a Secretary of Commerce roundtable a number of years ago here in Baltimore, Maryland, where I'm located. And excited to say that the Urban League here in Baltimore, the Haysbert Centers, is one of our first grant recipients as a result of our program in 2023. So we're really excited, hoping to do more work with the Urban League nationally. And of course, Mr. Morial has been very outspoken about this issue of equity when it comes to small businesses and minority-owned businesses. So I'm excited to have this partnership, and I've had the chance to meet him a few years ago.
So at this stage of the game, I imagine that Equity Endowment is really focused primarily on the process of fundraising. But tell us about where you are in the game.
Yeah. Well, certainly, in the startup stages at this time, and really just beginning to get the word out and identify initial partners and starting to have very positive conversations in the banking community and the finance community. And as with any new business and new approach, it takes a little bit of an education. But we really couldn't be at a more pivotal and fascinating time Just last month, the Boston Globe began a series focusing on the wealth gap in Boston. Obviously, there's been other financial institutions that have been in the news around housing and mortgage lending and other issues that are impacting access to capital. And as far as I'm concerned, that's really what this is about. It's really about access to capital. And that's been a big part of my story and my family's story. And I'm a fifth generation African-American entrepreneur. I'm descended from a free African who fought in the American Revolutionary War. So very much have an American family story. And the most prominent member of my family is my late uncle, Reginald F. Lewis, who was able to secure $1 billion from Mr. Michael Milken in the 1987 acquire Beatrice Foods. And really, no one's been able to do a deal quite like that to this day. And really, the biggest key was access to capital, is that he had someone that was able to back him to do that leveraged buyout to go complete that global acquisition over 50 companies in over 30 countries, mostly in Europe before the euro. Very complex transaction. And so what a lot of businesses need, of course, that was a huge scale, but I know business owners who can't get $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 just to seed their business and start their business and to create jobs and opportunities in their community. And that's really what the heart of Equity Endowment really is, to be able to be a bridge to close that gap and to strengthen our economy, not just for minorities. Of course, we want to do that, but we think the rising tide truly lifts all boats for all Americans. And it's important as we head deep into the 21st century to be able to close that gap and do so, if not in my generation, certainly want to see it happen in my children's.
So as you're raising capital at this point, are you looking for donations to fund the endowment or investments or a little of both?
So we're starting out again as a 501c3. So right now we're certainly looking for contributions, the tax-deductible donations. All donations are tax-deductible. You can go to equityendowment.org right now and make a contribution. But certainly in our roadmap, and I've had some great conversations with wealthy individuals and people in the finance community who say, we would love to get a return. I like what you're doing and I like that strategy and that approach, but how can I get a return? So certainly having a for-profit arm that would generate a return and also funnel a significant percentage of the carry perhaps to the nonprofit is certainly on the roadmap, and I think could be an accelerant to the work that we're doing. We see even publicly traded funds, ETFs, et cetera, that are focused on climate, that are focused on other issues. Why can't we have one that's focused on creating racial equity in our economy in this country? And so I think again, we're at a very unique time, a very unique opportunity, and I'm just beginning to really explore all the legal avenues. And that's why I was so excited to connect with you and Superpowers, Devin, because I really had overlooked crowdfunding. And Arlene Hamilton is one of my heroes, and so many other people who are able to leverage crowdfunding through a for-profit arm. And so again, we need multiple tools in the toolkit. We need multiple arrows in our quiver, if you will, to begin to really do this work and make it an appealing opportunity for everybody and all organizations, institutions to be able to partner, whether they want to return or they want to make a contribution and partner with on the platform that we're building.
Well, it is exciting to think about that. And we are so thrilled that you'll be presenting at SuperCrowd Baltimore on March 21st. This is going to be such a great event. We've got an extraordinary roster that you're headlining there for us. And we're just thrilled that this is going to be just a profoundly, I think, important event for the community.
Yes.
Because of your support and Kevin Sherd and some of the others that will be there and presenting from the local community, as well as experts that are joining us from across the country. So it's going to be a great event.
Thank you and your team for coming to Baltimore. It's a very exciting time here. We were just designated one of the 31 tech hubs by the White House, and a lot of, we were trying to be the hub of Equi-Tech. And so coming to this time in Baltimore in 2024, we couldn't be more excited to have you here. And it's going to be a robust day of dialogue and networking.
Yeah. Well, again, I really want to thank you for coming, and I'm excited. And now everyone, we're going to take a quick break here for a commercial, but when we come back, we're going to talk to Russell about his superpower. So you don't want to miss this. Stick around. This is going to be a powerful conversation.
Join the January SuperCrowd Hour. Learn to invest like a pro or how to pitch impact investors. Devin will host 5 crowdfunding investors: Fiona Budd, Justin Renfro, Jackie Logan, Carl Dakin, and Bill Houston. Register now at thesupercrowd.com. Thanks to our sponsors and co-hosts.
Join us for SuperCrowd 24 for 2 full days of wealth and impact creating content at this virtual conference on April 17th and 18th. We'll have 100 speakers and live pitch sessions. Learn how to invest like a pro and raise money from the crowd. Save 50% with the discount code SUPERCROWD at thesupercrowd.com. Join us at Supercrowd Baltimore to connect with community-focused business leaders and investors working to support diverse founders, social entrepreneurs, and community builders. Learn how to raise money from the crowd and how to invest like a pro. March 21st at the B&O Rail Museum. Register today at thesupercrowd.com. Welcome back, everyone. We're thrilled to have you here. We've got with us today Russell Fugett, who is the CEO and founder of Equity Endowment, and we're going to talk to him now about his superpower. Russell, you have accomplished a lot, and as I look at your career and your bio, and we just have barely touched the surface of it in our conversation. I hope people will take the time to read it. But as we look at all the cool things you've done, you've spent your entire career working on aspects of social justice and collaboration and community building. It's just been a fundamental part of the work that you do since college. I'm so impressed. I'm one, I like to think I'm playing in that game now, right? I like to think I've joined you, but I spent 25 years not in that game. And in some ways, I feel like I'm repenting, but you've been at it, and I commend you for that. What do you see as your superpower?
Well, you said, two great, I love alliteration. So you said collaboration, you said community. I'll add a third C to that as my superpower, and that's complexity. And that's where the opportunity lies, is the ability to handle complexity. So I've been blessed to be educated as a project manager and have the project management professional and MS and project management. And, also, again, growing up in a family with my father, Gene Fugett, and my uncle, Reginald Lewis, and what they were able to do. And like I mentioned in the previous segment, they were able to acquire a business that was over 50 companies in over 30 countries before the euro. So the level of complexity, and a lot of people would have ran away from that opportunity, but they ran towards it. So really, not only have I grown up around it, but it's also kind of been in my DNA of in terms of my education, my background, to say complexity is where the opportunity is. And it's not just tactical complexity. Certainly complexity, perhaps most of all, is in relating with people. And so also in the previous segment, I said that I want to be a bridge, because I know when we talk about racial equity, we talk about economic justice, it can be a very complex topic. And a lot of people have a lot of feelings and very powerful and strong emotions around this issue. And a lot of people, kind of believe perhaps in a zero-sum game, that if somebody else gets something, that means somebody else has to lose something. And I, want to state very clearly that I reject that notion. I believe there's enough here for everyone. I believe in a thought of an apple seed can create infinite amount of trees and infinite amount of apples, as opposed to the idea of the pie, and we got to get my slice of the pie, which is a kind of a limiting idea. And so I really want to really shift the conversation around that. And again, that's going to be complex. Being able to have conversations, be able to raise perhaps crowdfunding money, or even convince someone to make a $25 donation. As much as I want to be able to go to a large financial institution and get an 8 or 9 figure commitment, I want to be able to have that conversation and have it humbly and transparently on both sides and everybody in between, and really be a bridge in that way. So again, the ability to handle complexity, I would say, truly is my superpower.
That is really a profound superpower, and it's so difficult. I know I struggle with that. I really do. In all the work that I do, I find myself wanting to simplify, develop processes step by step, right? To make it so that I can handle it. And it's challenging. So I really respect that ability. Can you think of an example of when you faced something particularly complex, particularly challenging, and you deployed that superpower to accomplish something you're proud of?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, right now, leading this initiative is kind of been a journey in and of itself, certainly. But I can certainly think of other times where I've had to lead, in that fashion, and had the opportunity to be a part of some unique business opportunities, and can't share too much publicly, but certainly, at one point was negotiating to acquire an American division of a Japanese-based company, and that was a very interesting and complex negotiation. And so, being able to be a part of situations like that and have an opportunity to be a part of some opportunities in and around minor league baseball and others, have really been able to be exposed to high levels of complexity. and understanding relationships, and also understand that people in business and in our world, do things for motivations that may not always be about money, particularly in business. But also being able to understand and develop the other superpower I'd say I have, which is the ability to be a good listener. And be able to ask the right questions and then listen and sit with what someone is sharing with you. And so really that's given me the ability to kind of separate myself and be able to create value in a variety of different situations. So I've been truly blessed to be born in this time and into this to my family and have the opportunity that I have and really truly want to practice radical generosity and learning how to give it away.
Yeah, that's so wonderful, so profound, so incredible. Great story to help explain this. You know, I really want to get some insight from you on how to process and manage and cope with complexity. And I suspect there are others. And I hope part of what you've done is to develop, at least to observe, the way you maybe natively or intuitively cope with complexity. But give us some pointers on managing, dealing with, and addressing complexity in our own lives and our own work so that we can handle it better.
Well, certainly, I think the biggest thing a lot of people will talk about perhaps is having emotional capacity, emotional discipline, emotional intelligence, and being able to separate your emotions and having the self-control to do that. And then really also, even if it's someone you're maybe opposed to or may not particularly care for, putting yourself in their shoes and understanding where they are and understanding what they might be trying to achieve. And then responding accordingly and also responding with love. And I'm, certainly empowered by my faith, by my Christian faith in Jesus Christ. And that really motivates me and inspires me. And it's certainly been a faith journey throughout my life. So in fact, my people say, my uncle was the first Black billionaire, which is not exactly accurate. He was the first African-American to have a billion-dollar company. Doesn't mean life's always been easy. And certainly I'm very much inspired by my family and have a loving family, a particularly loving wife and two loving daughters. And that really, buoys me and gives me the ability to be able to be in challenging situations and not take it personal and always keep the goal in mind. So certainly you have complexity, but having Roman numeral 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and making things simple and having that plan be very simple so that when you get off course with your team or with a negotiation or any situation, you can always come back and say, well, we agree we're going to do these 3 or 5 things, small number things, high level Roman numeral. And when you can always come back to the baseline, sometimes all the other stuff and all the issues can kind of fade to the background and you can refocus yourself and you can refocus on the task. But I would certainly encourage everyone, if it's not Christian faith, to have some kind of spiritual practice as well. But it's a journey. It's an ongoing journey to develop the spiritual and emotional intelligence and IQ to be able to deal with challenging people and challenging situations and begin having that family, having that support has certainly been a baseline for me.
That's great insight. It's great insight. And I love how you see the complexity in human interaction. That it isn't always just the processes and the business, it's the people. And I really think that's profound insights. It's helpful to me to break down these things in this
Process can be
way.
complex, but the values that motivate it are very simple. Generosity, love, compassion, care. And that takes time to build those into your heart, into your character, and to really be able to operate and create trust quickly and be able to move sincerely in that direction. And that's really the secret, if it's a secret at all.
Wow, that's great insight. Well, Russell, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Before we wrap up, will you take just a minute and tell people how they can learn more about Equity Endowment, how they can connect with you personally, how they may follow you on social media, et cetera?
Yeah.
What are the best ways?
The best way is to go to equityendowment.org, and certainly there you can subscribe to our monthly email newsletter. Follow us at Equity Endowment on Instagram. We also have an Equity Endowment YouTube channel. Every Friday, we release a weekly update that's about 5 minutes long, give or take a minute, and it really kind of summarizes the week in the news, some of the things that are happening on in our community. And we're really excited. In the coming weeks, we're going to be kicking off our artist, athlete, and entertainer and influencer wing, and we're hoping to have some different people who are both doing similar work to what we're doing at Equity Endowment, but also some of our partners, creative partners, come on board and contribute and share. So we have a lot of exciting things in store. And again, we're excited to have you in Baltimore, Devin, and just keep letting us know what we can do here on the ground in Baltimore to prepare for our day in March.
Well, thank you very much. I am so excited to connect with you and the crowd in Baltimore. There really is an extraordinary community
Indeed.
coming together in Baltimore for this event And we've connected a few different communities, sub communities, little tribes, if you will, in Baltimore that are working with parallel ambitions, and they're coming together for this event, and the energy around it is just phenomenal. I really can't wait, and I'm so grateful to you being there and playing such a prominent role. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Devin. Looking forward to it.
All righty. We want to wish you every success, Russell, in all that you're doing, especially at Equity Endowment, and look forward to keeping in touch with you in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All righty. Let's do some good.